FIRE Author Spotlight interviews. Our first two guests are Deborah Shamus. Is that pronounced right, Deborah?
Shames, Rita. Thank you.
Shamus and David Booth. Their book was one of the finalists in the FIRE Award competition for 2024. The name of their book also was got an honorable mention for the cover and the design. It is a package set of books that talk about speaking, and I'm going to introduce a little bit about Deborah. She is been in movie production, as has David as well. David's expertise is in the television series. He's been in several television series. He also is gifted when it comes to doing interviews with people, as far as doing, what's the word I'm looking for? Training videos for the banking, technology, energy, and telecommunications industry. Deborah has been has been awarded the Consultant of the Year with the San Fernando Valley Business Journal. And at the time, she was the only female-owned production company in the San Francisco Bay Area. Her production company is Focal Point Productions. I'm going to turn the mic over to Deborah and David and let y'all explain a little bit about your book.
Thank you,
Or
Rita.
your books.
Yes, it's a 3-book set: Prepare, Present, and Communicate, because there are so many aspects to speaking well, to communicating and presenting and presenting your ideas, your services, and what sets you apart.
And the thing about it, Rita, is that we love training as well as presenting on camera, speaking live to large audiences, which we do a lot of. But because we're mainly trainers, we made the tips so that they would be easily accessible. That's why they're in 3 parts. Everything you do around preparation, everything you do about presenting, and then everything you need to know about communicating.
And since speaker anxiety affects 90% of the population, and we say the other 10% are lying,
That's me.
When
they say that people fear public speaking more than death.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld said most people would rather be in the coffin than delivering the eulogy. So
I remember that.
What we've done is, as David said, we've made the book small and portable. And when you have something coming up and you're experiencing stage fright, or you need a new open, or you don't know how to engage an audience, you can go to that section in one of the books and read tips about them that are immediately applicable.
So are the books...
Hey, thank you, Rita.
I've been trying to get this on, but my back screen is messing up, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird how when you try to show something, it does that. I don't know why it does that, but I've noticed that myself. But so your books are they all tips? Is that what the books are? Just one tip after another then?
Yes, it is, because we've been writing for about 24 years now, the tip of the week. And so it's an Eloqui, comes out from Eloqui. It's a speaker tip, something around speaking, presenting,
communicating,
neuroscience, decision making, all having to do with speaking. And then we have a word of the week that expands our readers' vocabulary. It puts it into a sentence. And then we have a quote of the week, and they all tie together.
Now, we took 24 years worth. It took months to edit them down, to get rid of the ones that were duplicates or irrelevant.
And updated them.
And then put them into this 3-book series, which we're very proud of. And, Most people will never be on a big stage, but we all communicate daily, whether it's virtual, whether it's to get a new promotion or a new job, whether it's to motivate your team or pitch a new client for services. And so we made it relevant to our clients who are across all industries so that it would be useful and practical.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So why do you guys say that everything you've ever learned about public speaking is wrong? What makes you say something like that?
Oh my God, we could go on forever, but we'll give you the highlights.
Deborah ran a referral organization, a networking organization chapter in Los Angeles for 14 years. And what we heard standing up among mainly service providers, these are
Lawyers,
law partners, insurance, accountants, so forth, is they stand up and they do everything the same way, and it was always boring. Hi, my name is David Booth. I'm an accountant with blah, blah, blah. And here are our practice areas. Thank you. And you can refer blah to me. And they'd sit down. And of course, nobody would remember anything they said, and it drove us nuts. So we said, we have to change that.
And we did. So for example, if you start the way everybody else does, good morning, thank you for being here. Here's my agenda slide. You've blown your 30-second honeymoon period. You've lost your audience, and it's really hard to get them back. Or you were taught to speak in generalities, like we're creative problem solvers. What does that mean? So we drive our clients to be specific, especially visually specific, so that you and as an audience member remember what is said. You have some more gestures?
Well, people either are hampered because they don't know what to do with themselves and their hands, everything from the neck down, or they do too much because they think they're supposed to do that. And it's all wrong because we're humans, and when we talk like I'm doing, we use our hands, we nod, we smile like you all are doing.
Authenticity.
We're being natural. And so of course we want our speakers to be natural as well. Yes, they should have great material and put with commitment and certainty, but at the same time, they need to be real.
I'm glad you brought that up. We were taught to be experts and to educate our audience. Wrong way to go. Best to be persuasive and convincing, which means you'll keep people's attention. We have a phrase, attention precedes comprehension. So we give you, in briefly speaking, ways to grab an audience's attention and be memorable. Now, there's one more thing in terms of everything you've learned about public speaking is wrong. We were all taught to say we because we're part of a team. That's great. But unless you add I statements, why something is important to you, why you're invested in it, how you can brag about your teammates, you will never be as persuasive as possible. So we give you the tools to change behavior.
Wow, that is a very simple thing that can make all the difference in the world.
Yes.
Yes.
Interesting.
Thank you, Rita.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you repeat that phrase again? The one you said, something
Yes.
precedes comprehension.
Attention precedes comprehension. So you have to grab our attention, because if you're boring, if we've heard it before, if it's something, and David brought up people who gave elevator speeches or self-introductions, they were bored with themselves because they'd given it so many times before, and it wasn't their authentic voice. Authenticity is key, which is why, by the way, so many women are hesitant to speak out. We have a whole chapter about women communicating, and we elicit comments from history about great women. What did they do well? What can you pick up? How you can set yourself apart and feel good about speaking as opposed to anxious.
So we have an entire section in Briefly Speaking in the prepare section.
Good.
Of how do you do that? You don't want to just go up and wave your arms and be dramatic. It has to have a purpose. So we give tips on where to draw those openings from that will grab an audience, get their attention, so that then you can really tell them who you are.
He's also talking about structure and templates. We give you structure and safety nets and tools. Then you can break them. But at least when you're feeling anxious, you know where to go quickly, and you won't end up like a deer in the headlights where you go, I don't know. So maybe I'll give you more information. And then when people aren't responding, well, maybe I'll talk louder or I'll wave my hands. That doesn't work. So we give people structure. I mean, we've been doing this a long time. And our clients include Northern Trust and Caldwell Banker and Ochsner Health and Medical, the big guys, to startups. So let's say you want to raise money for your favorite nonprofit, and there's compassion fatigue. The idea is set yourself apart. Show why you're invested in your nonprofit or your PTA or whatever it is, and then have the tools to be successful.
I'm just still blown away by that little. I'm sorry, Rita, go ahead.
I've done several projects. I'm a book packager up until I got to where my vision couldn't let me do the computer work. But I've packaged several projects for nonprofits that utilize the book as a fundraiser for the organizations. And the ones that I've worked on have raised a lot of money. And I don't really think that people realize the potential there. But, you know, you have to independently publish the project, and it takes money to do that and to do it good and have a product as beautiful as y'all's 3 books are. But
we agree with you, Rita. The Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, the Arthritis Foundation, Girls Inc., Prolacta Bioscience, they're all clients of ours, and they have to raise money. And they have to, like Prolacta Bioscience, go into hospitals and compete with the big guys like Johnson & Johnson. And so Prolacta has us train their board, their C-suite members, anyone who has to be front-facing and set themselves apart.
Mm-hmm. Well, and for instance, one of the projects that I did for a nonprofit, the woman was a writer, and she wrote the majority of the Goosebumps books for young adults. And she wasn't a speaker. You know, that was not her forte. But I did another project, and the lady who was heading up the project and more or less the front person, she was a public speaker, and she had taken a lot of training and stuff. And her book project outsold the other one probably 10-1. You know, so that coming across is very, very important for any kind of a book project.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Sandy, it seemed like you had a question too.
Well, I was just going to go on to the next question. If we're ready, if we're done with talking about the public speaking, everything you've learned is wrong. But I do want to just one more time mention that quote, because I think that should be a banner. Attention precedes, tell me the other loud. Comprehension. See, I'm going to have to write that one down so I can remember it. But I love that. Love that. So I learned one last year that action precedes motivation.
Ooh.
So you take action and then motivation. Your motivation to do that, I think of that in the terms of working out. If I go work out, then I feel like working out afterwards, but I didn't always feel like it to start with. So I think I can now apply that one that attention precedes, tell me.
Comprehension.
I don't know why I can't remember that word. Attention precedes comprehension. So anyway, on to the next question. One of the things that you guys say is that your tips are based on the professional playbook. What does that mean?
Yes.
Take it.
That means that if I want to learn something, I will either go to someone that I know who has done that for a living and is a true professional, or I will access something online. But I don't look for opinion. I look for fact.
He's being very modest. David was a performer. at Berkeley Rep, a lead performer at Tennessee Williams Theater, at Oregon Shakespeare. And so what we've done is taken the performance techniques that he used every single night and translated them for the business professional, like how to manage anxiety, how to engage an audience, how to set an intention before you ever speak, and how to take on a role. So for Sandy, you were talking about how to grab someone's attention. Well, you may be a motivator to do that. And did you want to add anything else about the performance techniques, which run throughout our books?
Well, I do, because it's really the basis of our entire training, and Eloqui is not only male-female perspectives, but Deborah was a director of film and television and did over 60 award-winning films, documentaries, training programs, and dramatic films as well. So the thing is, she knows from her side of the camera, directing performers and a lot of people in business as well. And I know from the other side of the camera from performing as a professional. So everything that we have written in Briefly Speaking and everything we train comes from two people who have earned their living doing that.
Yes.
There's a big difference.
Thanks. Yes.
That is exactly what I thought was so unique about your project, because you come at it from two different directions and you merge the two to help the people, in their speaking and stuff. How long has Eloqui been around? When did y'all first start that business?
Eloqui, which is the basis of eloquence, to speak out, started in 1999. So we both had long careers. As David said, I was a producer and director. He was a stage director, a performer. He represented big companies, Cisco, Chevron, Siemens. And so we came together and took what we've learned and put it for business professionals, because it's not like the old-fashioned, do you want to be a tree? Let me give you ways to do improv. We heard the craziest things when we started our business, but we know that business people want to increase their ROI. They want to gain new clients. They want to overcome their anxiety, and they want to find their own voice. So that's what we focused on. And I want to add something. Because you folks have been so kind to us, if anyone goes to brieflyspeaking.biz, they can order the book set at a reduced price. And in addition to the hardcover, yes, we always support. We've never advertised in 24 years. A client refers us to another client to another client. But I want to brag on my partner again. He recorded the audio books. They're on Audible. And his voice is fabulous. And so you can get the 3-book set or individual books on Audible.
Yeah.
How do y'all find the sales of both the hard copy versus the Audible, and the individual copies versus the 3-book set versus the Audible?
Well, we released the individual books after, a month and a half afterwards.
The 3-book set.
The 3-book set. And the same thing with the audio book. So, because a lot of people like audiobooks and use them. So we haven't had a chance to really assess quite yet, because we don't feel like they've caught up with one another.
Yeah, and this is only within the last 8 months.
Yeah.
So, and in addition to the FIRE Awards, we've won first place in business at a number of other awards. And that makes us very proud, because 24 years worth, it's nice to be recognized.
I'd like to find out, how did you hear about FIRE, the FIRE Book Awards?
I researched PR by the book. I researched awards, and you were right up there. And I liked your different categories. And so I entered you. I entered our book into your awards.
Very good. It's amazing to me to find out all the different ways that people hear about the FIRE Book Awards or hear about any kind of promotion. So do you work with PR by the book?
We did for a while, yes.
Oh, Okay. So, what is her name, Rita? The one that has PR by the book. She's
Is that
awesome.
Marika?
Marika
Yes,
Flatt. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
who was our
we know
president?
her.
Yes,
She's
we had
great.
a great representative from the organization who got us in many different publications, the articles that we wrote, the Santa Fe and the Albuquerque papers, and we are in Fast Company, one of our favorite publications. And so, it's very gratifying that what we spent so much time and effort on, including the graphic design of the case that these 3 books come in. We just love it. And so thank you for recognizing it.
It really, excuse me, I'm sorry. A lot of it, the design of the books, we looked over, the 15, Amazon's 15 best designed book covers and award winners and so forth. And for us, because we're writing it for a business audience primarily,
Right.
they like business books. And they all look
Boring.
a little stiff
Yes.
and academic or flashy. And it just didn't seem right. It didn't seem like who we were. So we said to our designer, make it a watercolor. Make it something where there's a blend of art and science, which also is reflective of every tip in there is a blend of art and science.
And Michael Roney with High Point Publishing, he's the one that found our graphic designer. And
they are beautiful. They're definitely beautiful books.
Well, we like the aesthetics.
Well, you can tell that y'all, you might have had a lot of copy that you edited a bunch of stuff out, like you said to begin with, but you thought about the project from I want to sell this project, I want it to help people, and I want it to move forward. Instead of, I just finished my manuscript, I need to get this on Amazon, and that's the mindset of 95% of the people out there. And putting together a quality project that is going to make your money back on your investment takes time and effort and skilled people to help you do that.
Thank you.
That's right.
One of the things that we were very set on was to make the tips readable in under a minute. And as Mark Twain said, I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead. It takes a lot to edit something down to nuggets where you can read it and apply it in under a minute. And that's what we worked hard at.
There's one other element of this that I can't read a business book. I haven't finished a business book, and I can't tell you how long, except under, pain of humiliation if I was going to go speak to the author. But they seem a little academic and stiff to me for the most part. And so what we dedicated ourselves to, because we both like to write creatively, is make them interesting.
Yes.
So that it tickles your brain, but also you go, boy, that has a sweetness to it, or it has a lightness that really affects me emotionally.
So, for example, last week we wrote about Unstoppable, a great movie about a one-legged wrestler, and we tied it into David's wrestling team, who won the state championship in Oklahoma that he was captain of. And so we did a video, because 85% of all content on the internet now is through video. And our tip was about how to read your audience, like the wrestler did. And then after you've read them, how do you persuade them to your point of view? So it's interesting, and it's not the old-fashioned, well, let me tell you what an expert says about it. No, we want to grab your attention and then give you a speaker tip.
Bring it down to the individual that's listening, so it really speaks to them. That's great. I love that. So Rita and I both are speakers, not to a large stage, but in Houston area, we both are invited to speak, or were before we, kind of got old. But
You couldn't tell it by my intro, however.
So we both speak at publishing, kind of, like the author, the writers conferences and stuff. So would your books apply to us and to the people who speak to small stages as much as it does to those who have a history like you guys do and speak on the big stage.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We do in-person trainings throughout the country. And the people who are put in those training groups, they could be first generation. They could speak another language other than English first, and they want to get promoted or be seen as exceptional in their field. We have people who are just starting their business and want to be able to sell and persuade when they feel anxious because people are more experienced than they are. The people who attend our workshops and do one-on-one are very rarely public speakers, but they communicate all day long.
That is the reason that we have the third book in the set. The third book is Communicate. So the second one is about
Presenting.
when the lights go up and you're on stage or you're on camera like we are now, and how you present in that moment. But the third one in Communication is all about team meetings.
Yes.
It's about doing Zoom sessions like this. It's about doing interviews. It's how you really read people one-on-one. So it's much more in that realm of communication than the big stage or big camera presenting.
I'm
arena.
glad David brought that up. It's a hybrid world out there in business. And
Yeah.
almost every client does at least half virtually like this
That's
and
right.
half in person. Well, we have a whole section on how to do everything from frame yourself visually, what you do with your audio, how you engage an audience with a very short attention span when you're virtual.
Nuts and bolts,
Nuts and
like
bolts.
your lighting, your camera setup. What is the camera? How do they work? How to make the most of everything. And for us, it's so that the technology goes away. If the technology goes away,
Yes.
it seems like if I'm speaking to you two, or if I'm speaking to 1,000 people, Deborah and myself, then it just seems like a conversation. And we think that's where technology should be.
Yes, and so many people use PowerPoint the wrong way. They
Yeah.
use it as a crutch or a cueing device, and you can lose your audience in seconds. We call it death by PowerPoint.
I was
And
going to say, have you heard that phrase? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So we have a whole section on how to use PowerPoint effectively. And so anything, because we've seen it all in 24 years, anything that applies to when you speak. We are not life coaches. We do not do written. Well, although some of our clients will send us their written version for a newsletter, but we only work on finding your voice and then giving you the tools to be effective. So instead of dreading it, my favorite comment is, send me in. I can't wait now. I want to do this differently.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So you just said authentic voice. You
Yes.
mentioned that. So,
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that too. How do you find your authentic voice?
You want to start?
Sure. It's first of all, it is a bit of self-examination in terms of who am I? What do I bring to the table? What do I feel most comfortable doing? In other words, just take some time to meditate on what makes me up.
So for example, Rita has a Southern accent. She should never try to lose it. She just has to make sure people can understand, which we can. Another thing about authenticity, if you are always taught to say we and be generic, you'll never find your own voice. So I interview clients and find out what's important to them. What perspective do they have? And then I encourage them to be themselves and to use it. So if you're reserved, great. Everybody always says, not everybody. There's a number of clients that say, I'm an introvert. I don't like to speak out. Well, good. Be an introvert, but still say what's important to you. Let's say you're very animated. Great. Keep that animation. Just don't do something that's repetitive, like counting on your fingers over and over again, or using what we call discourse particles, just like instead of a pause, because that will drive your audience crazy. If every third word is right.
Or a case in point, in Deborah's networking group, and I would go every once in a while as a guest, and I would see these very successful attorneys, heads of insurance firms, et cetera, stand up and as a as a former actor, I would watch these people and I'd think, you're acting. You're acting like your
Yes.
idea
Of
of
an
what
attorney.
a successful
Yes.
attorney should be, or a head of a firm. And I don't get you as being genuine at all. And so your credibility starts to fall. And that's what we mean. If that person would simply say, look, I run an insurance firm. Here's what I really enjoy about the work.
Exactly.
Here's what I enjoy giving to our clients.
Here's what frustrates me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we would lean in, because anytime you say what we didn't expect, what was revealed, or what surprised us, you'll see people going, oh, tell me more.
And it's so different than them standing up and saying, okay, the marketing department of my company has decided this is our mission statement.
Yes.
And so please just read this or memorize it and give that every single time. And it's just, that doesn't work anymore. It's too canned.
That's right. Younger population, authenticity is key.
Yep.
So if you get up and you just, or you keep one hand in your pocket, or you say, my name is, and these are our services, you're going to lose people and you can't get them back. So I hope that answers it, Rita, in terms of authenticity.
Well, and I have always been, I talk with my hands.
Good.
And I find when I speak, I try and control my hands, and that throws me off on what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to just keep on flagging people. Good point.
We always say there's no such thing as too Italian or Jewish or whatever.
Bring that 747 in for a landing. Just bring it on in.
Or West Texas, or West Texan.
West Texas. Now, the only thing, Rita, you have to be aware of, because you have a green screen, when you use your hands, they will disappear.
Yeah.
So I would recommend have a very simple background, and then move your camera back a little bit so it's about waist high, so we see your hands. There's a number of other reasons to use your hands. It brings oxygen into your lungs. You won't get tired as fast. And as David said, it's your authentic self. This is what you do. And so you can either demonstrate, or you can just use it to show that you're engaged in your topic.
Very good. Very good. Well, I've learned a lot today.
I know. Me too. Me too. So, so I know you guys, you mentioned earlier about art and speaking being, bringing that in, and that is part of your guys' background. So what do you mean when you say that the best speakers use art and science?
I'll give you an example from yesterday.
Yes.
I was working with a CEO who has left the corporate world, and now she makes her living doing public speaking. And she has a big presentation on AI coming up. And she would have typically done the traditional either history of AI or history of her firm. Instead, the art part was, we had her link the wildfires in LA, how they were unexpected, how they were devastating, how they demolished whole neighborhoods, and how the community wasn't prepared. She links that to people ignoring AI and what the potential is or isn't. And that's artistic. And she will grab their attention right away.
There's another, excuse me, I'm sorry, analogy that I think is apt, and that's jazz. And so if any good jazz musician knows all the chords, all the music, they know the structure of every piece that they're doing. Say if it's from the American Songbook, it's a song we all know fairly well. But at some point, what they've done, because they know the structure so well, is they deviate from it.
They riff.
They take a riff, they take a solo, they do that. That's the art that they're putting into the science to balance it out. And so what we do is we train structure of a presentation,
Templates.
structure and templates of a story, how to do that precisely, how to open, how to close. But within that, we always drive our clients to say, this is because you know it and you have such a structure, you can throw in an insight that comes to you, a story, an example, an analogy that will bring the art into it and really grab people.
See, people were taught to memorize their content or read it. That's horrible. And if you forget a word, you're screwed. And if you read it, you can't connect with an audience. So we teach people how to work off an outline, how to rehearse, how to keep it fresh, because we can tell if you've memorized it. And as soon as an audience can hear that memorized tone, you've lost them.
Yeah.
But to have something as opposed to it, people go, oh my God, an outline? An outline? Yes, that allows you to connect with an audience. It allows you to be conversational instead of being an expert. And the number of people we have convinced to do that, and they get the highest evaluations at a conference. They are so much more relaxed. It takes them so much less time to structure it, makes us feel like we've done our job.
That's awesome. I used to be a member of the Public Speakers Association, and some of the things that you're saying, you know, I would hear people speak, but I would also see Public Speakers Association members go up there and do the death by PowerPoint too. So
yes,
so I love what you guys are saying about the authenticity, you know, be yourself. And one of the coaches I had told us once, you've been studying for a long time, you've been, you know, training. Now go out and forget everything, just go speak about the topic that you're speaking on and be authentic about it. So I love that you guys teach that in your books. And the books, again, we want to remind people that maybe have joined us or watching. People can watch this video for the end of time. So if somebody's watching it in a few years, just let you know the title of the book series is Briefly Speaking.
Correct.
And the 3 books are, tell me the names of the 3 individual books again.
They are Prepare, Present, and Communicate. And if your listeners go to www.brieflyspeaking.biz, B-I-Z, they'll get a reduced price on the 3-book set. And they can email us, because one of our value adds for 24 years is after you've trained with us, you've bought our material, or we've coached you, you can reach out with a question for no charge. And I get those all the time. Thank you.
That's awesome. Because you know people are going to have questions down the road. They're going to remember what you said. They're going to remember that quote that I still can't remember that last word. So give it to me one more time, because I'm typing it in this time. What is that last? Attention precedes
comprehension. Grab their attention and they will learn what you want them to learn.
Okay, I have got that down now. And so I will remember that. When I've learned the one last year about action precedes motivation.
Yes,
I made all my grandchildren T-shirts with that quote on it for Christmas. I want you to learn this. You can take an action without any help or anything, but after that, you will. If you wait for motivation to do it, you may never take that action. So. I've loved this interview. This has been awesome, and I know we're going to be coming to a close pretty soon here. But tell us again about the books. You have the audio book, and you have the print books. Do you also have the Kindle version or the ebook?
Yes,
yes, we do.
We do.
Yes, we do.
That's
and here's
awesome.
a tip for both of you. We pay attention to active verbs. Action verbs are really important for your presentation and your brand. And both of you love the word help. Help is a weak verb. And so we encourage our clients, and we have 500 active verbs. And if anybody writes us, and because they'll get our contact information from you, I'll send them alternatives to help so that they can be seen as powerfully as they really are.
Now, where would we find the list of those action verbs that you're talking about?
You have to email me at dshames@eloqui.biz, and I will send them to you. And that's D as in Deborah.
I'm going to send you an email later today, so I want to get those action verbs. I love that.
Yes.
Love
now,
that.
If someone wants to take advantage of y'all's discount, do they need to give a code, or just say they saw it?
Just go to brieflyspeaking.biz as opposed to Amazon. And Amazon has our books as well, the 3-book set. Make sure it's a 3-book set, because there is another individual book from the early 2000s called Briefly Speaking, but this is the 3-book set. And why not go to brieflyspeaking.biz and get your own discounted version?
That's great.
Copies.
I do. I love that. I love that. So that's a
Thank
great
you for that
marketing.
added plus. That's great. We appreciate that.
So,
Sure.
so will this offer be good in forever? Because if somebody's watching this, like 6 months from now, will they still be able to take advantage of that opportunity?
Yes.
Sure.
Oh, great.
Yes.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
And
That's very, very generous.
People can always reach us at eloqui.biz. They can sign up for the new tips of the week or see our services. I have a specialty working with women. They can go to outfront.biz. And, anytime people need to reach out to us, we will be there. And we also have other trainers that are about to go out nationally. And that's very exciting, but that means I'll be even more available.
That's awesome.
I wanted to touch base a little bit on your specifically targeting women for some of your training, but I didn't want David to feel like he was being left out or anything. But that's awesome.
Okay.
That's awesome.
We do a lot of trainings. They're populated sometimes 100% by women. And, I grew up in the theater. Every acting company, repertory company, Shakespeare company is 50% women. So my whole first career, it was always 50-50, men and women. So
he has been
comfortable.
Such a great advocate. When my book Out Front came out, he traveled around the country with me. He shepherded the books. He would sit at the table. He would take people's credit cards. I couldn't have had a more supportive man. Most men would be like, oh, that's your thing. And I don't want to be second banana. He has been wonderful about that. So I like, and my book Out Front is focused on what women holds them back as well as what they can do. And why this is important to me is after 10 years of seeing successful, incredibly talented women not speaking out, not advancing because they pushed down who they were and they felt like the world wasn't for them. So I have a specialty and I work with women a lot. And when they are successful, there's nothing that gives me greater pleasure.
Kudos.
Do you guys teach or mention in the book anything about, so a lot of people that I've met, they're speakers, a lot of speakers that I've met are always looking for an opportunity to speak. And we have some authors that are looking. So do you have any tips for how to find the speaking engagement?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
We show them how to do a speaker's package. Most of our work is not around this book. It's in-person workshops, trainings, and in-house corporate trainings. And during that time, when somebody stands out and says, this is all great, but in my next phase, I really want to do more TED Talks, public speaking, or be part of the NSA, National Speakers Association. And so we show them how to do a speaker's package, and we show them how event planners are looking for speakers 6 to 12 months out and how to find them. But that's not, we are not agents, but there are absolutely ways. We have a scientist that came up with the
COVID test.
The COVID test. And he now speaks at scientific conferences and he goes, you've ruined me. Most of the speakers are so boring.
But he's the most colorful
popular
guy in the room.
Yes.
And
yes.
they love him. And
so it's not just public conferences, it's conferences in your area of expertise. If it's law, if it's marketing, if it's health and medical. So yes, there's lots of opportunities to speak in addition to just doing a lunch and learn or a breakout session. You don't have to go right to the main stage. You can start small if this is something that you enjoy.
Well, and that's like I said, Rita. Go ahead, Rita.
Let me ask you, are there any mainstream speakers bureaus who find you public speaking gigs, or do you just kind of have to swim yourself?
Pretty much. I'd say you have to be very careful about how you audit and how you interview the speakers bureaus. Some are more, well, you know this phrase, it's all hat, no cattle, because I grew up in Oklahoma. A lot of them are all hat, no cattle. And so they're selling a service, but they don't necessarily are able to fulfill it. That is to say also, there are a number of very, very good speakers bureaus. But it's tough, especially when you're working your way up.
That's right.
Because they really want a sure bet. And so if you've sold 3 books and you're popular, great. It's easy. If you haven't, it's hard.
There's something else
Same
too.
way with publishers.
Yes, I was just going to say
Yes,
the
ma'am.
world has changed. In the past, PR and publishers were there to promote you and to find you an audience. Now, you as the author have become their target. And they will charge you an arm and a leg and not deliver because they never promise. And so authors have to be very careful in today's world.
Exactly. Definitely so. Sandy, you had a question, sweetie?
No, I was just along the lines we were talking about. So I think that's awesome. I was going to say that Rita and I, our speaking is usually in the publishing. You were talking about in your own realm or your own audience, but that's the group that we always targeted. And that we could, if we wanted to get out and speak, there's a lot of organizations, a lot of writers groups and all that bring in speakers for their meetings.
Yes, and you know what? When we tell our clients, speak for free in the beginning, get your feet under you and get evaluations. Make sure that your talk is recorded so you can lift 1 to 2 minute bites. That's all that anybody has the attention for. And then you send out the video clip as well as what you talk about, and make sure that the heading is very catchy. Nobody wants to be bored. And then start with breakout sessions. Start small, get great evaluations, and then keep bumping yourself up. I did a webinar like this for Sotheby's,
World Bank.
Yes, but what's Lindsay's group? What Moves Her? I love that. For a real estate firm. I did her webinar, What Moves Her, and out of that, 3 people from Sotheby's heard me and brought me in at a very high rate for their conference. So speak everywhere, and you will start to grow your brand and be someone that conferences want to hire.
Exactly. Very good. Very good information. Great interview, y'all.
It's been a great interview. Great time of just getting to know you. How did you guys meet anyway?
Okay, you can take that one.
At the 10-year anniversary of my talent firm in San Francisco called Stars Agency, Deborah was coming. I was coming to the big party to celebrate their 10 years. And I was on the talent side. She was on the production side, the client side. And so literally we're walking down, I was walking down the hill in San Francisco. She's walking Van Ness Avenue. We bumped into each other and I said, "You're all dressed up. You must be going down the block to the party." And she said, "Yes, I am." We took the 1 block walk together and I fell in love anyway. I can only speak for me. And so from then on,
he was very smart. Once we got inside, he disappeared. So he made me chase him.
I love it, Deborah.
I went to where the other actors were, and we somehow figured out how to exchange cards. Now, he called me.
You somehow figured that out, huh?
Yeah, somehow figured out. Yeah, I'm very intentional, Sandy, in case you haven't figured that out. So he calls me in 2 days, and he goes, I was in Scream. I was Drew Barrymore's father in the film Scream, and we're having a wrap party. Do you want to go? And I said, "Sorry, I'll be out of town." I was also testing him to see how tenacious he was. And sure enough, he remembered the date that I was coming home, and he called me again. And that's when we started dating.
David, you are good.
Yeah. Subtle.
You got to be patient for the things you really want.
Aw. Yeah, most people say I could never work with my husband or wife. We'd kill each other. But we've been doing this for 24 years, and we're still alive.
That's right.
And I did
And
not
married.
know that you were married, so and I wasn't going to ask that question. So I'm glad you volunteered that
Yes.
information.
Even though we look like brother and sister, no, we are married.
Oh, y'all don't look like brother and sister.
No, you don't.
You don't.
You look
But you're a
great.
beautiful couple. And thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. We appreciate the interview, and I'll let you know when this is going to air, and we'll move forward with trying to sell some of those books for you.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having us on your show. And Deborah said something about accent earlier. I tell you, a day with y'all in it is a good day.
All right. Thank you. We appreciate
That's
it.
very good. I'm telling.